Welcome to As Above.
So below,
I am Kisha Lee, the Psychic Yogi.
and I'm Cidnee Rich, and this is Astro Reiki Pisces season. Yay, we've made it to the end of the zodiac, ladies and gentlemen. We are on our 12th sign. And it's always it feels so cool and like surreal when we get to this part of the year because it's like, wow, another year has gone by, another cycle has completed. But it's also very exciting because, like I have written in my notes, the end is the beginning, and it is. It's like I love that it's in like the February, so it's like we just started the year, but then it's kind of like this new restart type of energy too that makes you feel excited and like also feel more like embodied into the calendar year that we're in and kind of in yourself and feeling a lot more like, okay, I got my bearings, we're ready to do this. And so we're still with that flexible, mutable energy of Pisces. We're still kind of like being fluid and we're going with the flow, but we have this sense of like understanding that a new beginning truly is right around the corner. And so we can start to really tap into that Aquarius energy we just picked up into this kind of like future vibes, right? Aquarius season, we go real quick, we visit it. We're in the future, we're picking up, we're trying to get that vision where we're going. And then with Pisces season, we get to take that and kind of start to integrate that vision in a way that allows us to continue to dream a little dream, as Pisces is ruled by Neptune. That's its new age ruler is Neptune, the planet of dreams, the planet of also illusions. And so it's this space that feels intuitively like dense, like it feels magical. I like Pisces season. It feels like things are possible. It feels like, okay, new beginnings are here. Even if you're feeling maybe not that, maybe you're not in that place in your cycle and your journey, tapping into the magic that Pisces season has can help you kind of feel more sparkly, right? I just recently talked about finding my sparkle again. And I feel like Pisces season really allows you to have that belief. You know, the mantra or a phrase that's connected with Pisces is I believe. And so it really gets to that spiritual space within us that asks us to trust and have faith in our journeys, in who we are and what we can do and what we can create, especially with that creative energy that flows through Pisces. So it's a magical time because it's allowing us to remember that we are here and then we're not, right? And so it's a understanding of with this ending, um there is always a new beginning, and that new beginning can look completely different than where we've been, right? It gives us an opportunity to really start to um we can be different, we can think different, we can feel different. It just gives us an ability to change. And that's why I love the mutable signs that come in between those fixed and cardinal energies, because it allows us to understand that change is inevitable. It's part of who we are as humans, and we can embrace that more and really start to feel the possibilities that are there for us. And it feels good. It feels nurturing. It's that water energy. It feels it. I just kept talking to Keisha, like, I just like the water, like, duh, I know Pisces is water energy, but it just, I'm like yearning for like water, for that feeling, for emotion, for like new sensations and new ideas and new spaces and new people. And it's also cool that Pisces rules like the 12th house, which is the house that's like the hidden house. It's literally like it's the house that is this, it's kind of scary. Like when you kind of Google the 12th house, it can feel like, oh my God, the 12th house. Ugh. But really, I've learned a lot about the 12th house because my Venus is in the 12th house. And it's a house of once again, I'm going to use this word possibility. It's a house of believing that your wildest concepts can be a reality. You know, a lot of times you'll talk about Pisces energy and it's like they need a reality check, which is where the opposing like Virgo energy comes in, right? But we need to also be dreamers and believers in the impossible for us to feel that intuitive spark and that inspiration and that spiritual connection, because spirit itself, spirituality, what we're doing here, what we're talking about here, astrology, is something that is ethereal, right? We can't touch it, we can't feel it, we can feel it, but we can't, it's not something that is easily understood. We can't see it. So it is all based on that unknown energy. Then that is what allows us to really explore the depths of ourselves, because we're going deeper into who we are through our spirituality. And that requires going in and kind of undoing what you know, unlearning things, shifting your perspective. The Hanged Man is also connected to Pisces energy because it's Neptune energy. And so it's like, oh, I thought this is the way that I believed and what I thought was important, but now I'm seeing it this way. And so Pisces allows us to change and to be flexible in that way of shifting our beliefs and not only just of life and how we're operating, but of who we are as people and who we are as a collective. And it allows us to have that dream of what can be. Because Aquarius season, Pluto shifting into Aquarius, it's shifting us into this new future, but we need Pisces to create the dream, what that looks like or what that could look like, and how it can expand us and how we can go deeper within ourselves. And that's also really important to remember that we currently have Saturn in Pisces still. So we're still in this breaking down of the structures through this lens of Pisces, through this mutable energy. So we're still changing the rules of our society right now through Pisces energy. And so when we're in these spaces collectively where we have all this stuff going on and it feels like things are never changing or gonna change, they are. But we have to continue to keep that belief that it's possible. And so that's why I like the magic energy of Pisces. It just feels like, it feels fun. I know Leo is very childlike, but Pisces, I feel, is that imagination that is always needed for us to manifest, for us to, shift our reality. It starts with that vision, and that's really connected, I feel, to that third eye energy, right? So the other thing I wanted to mention, I know I talked about Neptune being the ruling planet, but the original ruler of Pisces is Jupiter. So Jupiter connects always, it also connects to Sagittarius energy. And so if you kind of take Sag energy, Pisces energy, and kind of look at it and see how Jupiter kind of expresses itself, it's kind of like I said, it's believing in the impossible. Jupiter is that optimistic, lucky charm energy. And it's like, you know what? Maybe I really can have this thing. Maybe soulmates really do exist. That's the idea of Pisces. Like, as it rules the 12th house, yes, it's the house of undoing and the hidden house and the house of the subconscious, but it's also the house where like soulmate energy lives, and where like our ancestor energy lives, and like our like that transitional space from being embodied to being a spirit. Like, that is that house. And so with Jupiter being the original ruler, it's like it's expanding our consciousness through Pisces season. We're able to see things fully or more all of the pieces, all of the little particles that go into our brain and how we're perceiving our reality. So that's why I think Virgo is great. We're gonna have that full moon this weekend, and that helps kind of like get our like grounding, but we still need that ability to dream and see beyond and undo things that feel like stagnant, or like we need to believe again. We need to have magic put back in. So that's what I'm feeling. And it's funny that I said grounded, because Pisces does rule the feet. And so, you know, all of this can sound very lofty, but it's like it allows you to kind of move forward in a way that's real, right? If it's the feet, it's our momentum. And so there is this kind of flow of movement with Pisces, even if it's kind of grounded in that ethereal, spiritual space. So with that, cool collective tarot for Pisces season. It's funny because I always channel the energy, obviously, through myself. And typically, when I get to Pisces season, I am like grumpy gills. I'm like, can't wait for it to be over, hate it, it's the worst. And this year, it's like so not the worst. And it's very different for me. And so I'm actually enjoying the energy, whereas usually I'd be like, this is all just fucking bullshit. There's nothing to believe in but struggle. No. But cool. So I have our reading. And I just said struggle. And so resistance is the first card that's up here. So 7 of Wands. So it's red with the Chariot. And so there's this, there with this mutable season, there is this final push past whatever resistance that has been getting in the way. And there's this final push flow forward, right? The Chariot is all about forward movement. And so with the 7 of Wands here, it's like finally breaking through the resistance, and also finally getting some traction on those dreams that you have been steadfast in, right? 7 of Wands is also about standing your ground in your beliefs, because it's connected to fire energy. So it's connected to that dream because you feel passionately about it. Going back to Jupiter also ruling Sagittarius. So it's that passionate belief in that, like, no, this can happen. This can happen. I know it can happen. And then with the Chariot here, it's pushing us forward. And what's cool is we have the World here as well. The World is a completion. It's literally the last major arcana. So it is very fitting for this to come through in the last zodiac sign of the astrological year. We've completed this cycle, and the things that we have been steadfast in are finally going to start to move, and we're going to see those results, because after the 7 of Wands is the 8 of Wands, which represents results. And we're finally going to see that abundance, that success, that new cycle beginning. And it's crossed by the 10 of Cups. And this is that Neptunian energy of Pisces. It's that idea that dreams do come true. Happiness is possible. It's not just an illusion. But of course, we have to make sure that we are still grounding ourselves throughout this season, so that we aren't, getting false sense of we're being real with ourselves still. So that's a little bit of that like warning energy with the 10 of cups. It's like, yes, you can actually get what you are been working towards or what you've been hoping to acquire or have, but don't get ahead of yourself. Stay in the moment, stay in the flow, like Pisces energy is. And that's the best thing we can always do when we're manifesting, is to stay in the flow, because what trips us up, and it's right here with the 5 of Wands underneath, is us trying too hard. That will always trip you up. If you're trying too hard, you're going to get in your way somehow. You're going to get in the flow. You're going to mess the flow up. And now you're like, well, I thought I was about to get exactly what I wanted. And Spirit said, yeah, you would have if you would have gotten out of the damn way. So be the Hanged Man, surrender, let the divine do its thing, and know that that hard work, those dreams you have can actually come through, and have that breakthrough and start to see some of that action once we get into Aries season.
I think I missed it because I went to try to get my journal. So the collective tarot, we have the Chariot, 7 of Cups, World, 10 of Cups,
7 of Wands.
7 of Wands. I was like, that didn't feel right.
7 of Wands and 10 of Cups.
Okay. It's so funny because with all the other like readings I've seen, and 10 of Cups seems to be the thing right now as a collective energy. So I think that's pretty dope that you also, of course, being on point, pick that up as well. But I find that this whole, I don't know, for me, Pisces season is a very interesting space to navigate. It's like an ebb and flow. It's like I kind of like, oh my God, I get backed up with like emotions and all this stuff. Then I'm like, oh, let me just tap into my intuition. Then once I do, it's like, whatever. Like I just don't care. Like it's like, once I don't care, it's just like nothing. It's just like placid, tranquil, just you drop a, little pebble in and it just ripples, and but underneath the surface, it's like, meh. So I don't know. It's a very interesting energy, Pisces. It's very, I wouldn't say like etheric. It is, but to me, it's very fluid. It's just kind of like I'm here. I'm just going with the vibe, which is so funny because I had a Pisces friend said, don't think, just vibe. And I was like, if that was not the most Piscean thing to ever say. And then of course another Pisces friend was like, oh yeah. And I'm like, freaking Pisces. Both of them, they're just like, don't think, just vibe. And I'm like, which is funny because every Pisces I know, the one thing I notice they say all the time, it doesn't matter if they know each other or not. All the Pisces I know, things will happen. They're like, wait, what? Hands down, every Pisces I know. Wait, what? Wait, what? I'm like, what? Where do y'all be? And I'm like, well, clearly they don't think, they just vibe. So I don't know. But that's apparently how I feel during this season, which I think this is absolutely perfect. As far as just the way the cycles and rhythms of life and of nature above and below operate in this cyclical space, or what I call cyclical living, because we kicked off the beginning of the year with a linear new year, right? January 1st. But then we have Pisces season, which is kind of wrapping up the astrological new year. And then we have also during this season in February, we have the lunar new year, right? So that's the moon. And then we have the, I guess, astrological, but also nature-based new year in March with Aries season. So you have like the sun solar new year, you have the moon's new year, lunar new year, and then you also have the astrological, which is even grander scheme, right? Like the bigger picture, the sun is part of the universal energy. So you have that, but then also it's like very down to earth, which is the earthly new year of Aries season in spring, right? So it's kind of like this this big space in between to navigate. You have that which is the conscious energy. Then you have that which is the subconscious energy, that intuitive aspect of Lunar New Year. Then all of a sudden you have this, like, it's astrological, but it's also very earthbound at the same time. So to me, Pisces season comes in as like a head in the clouds, feet on the ground kind of a vibe, which I think the head in the clouds is very Piscean, right? Intuitive, higher self, inspiration, very dreamy, mystical, that kind of stuff. But then you have the feet on the ground, which is the Virgo opposition of that, right? And so it's kind of cool because even the feet on the ground, there's so much beneath the surface that we don't even know exists, right? As we're walking on earth, we're not thinking about the plastic in our shoes or the soles of our shoes. And, we're not thinking about the type of terrain that we're stepping on, as far as, is it carpet? Is it concrete? Is it, tar? Is it earth and grass and that kind of stuff? And underneath that, there's dirt. And then there's ants. And then there's earthworms. And then there's this and that. And all these different layers that are also beneath us that we have no idea, or we have an idea that it exists, but we don't know what it really looks like. That's that, unknown kind of space. But then also up here, we know we have trees and we have clouds and we have the sun. But then beyond that, we also don't know what is really beyond that, right? And so I think it's kind of neat because with Pisces ruling the feet, I personally would think it would rule the kidneys. But because you got two of them, they're kind of like the little fish. It rules, that it's ruled by the energy of water. When it comes to Chinese medicine, like, I would just, your bladder, all that stuff, relief. I would just think like that's the end. When you're finished processing stuff, your kidneys release. But hey, they didn't ask me what I thought about astrology. Well, I'm telling y'all here because this is the space for it. So, but it's also giving, with that energy of juxtaposition between Virgo, earthly practicality, being grounded, but also that etheric energy of Pisces is giving kind of like stepping between two different worlds, right? Having not only just your head in the clouds and your feet on the ground, but also one foot in this earthly material realm and the other foot in this spiritual etheric realm, right? So you're kind of straddling this divide between the two, being able to operate between both. And it feels like right now, even though you're straddling the divide between the two, becoming more aware, more inspired, more intuitive about what action steps you need to take is what helps you to hit the ground running when Aries season comes in, right? And so outside of that, it's like, what is not only beyond that above us, but what is also beneath us? What is it that can be unearthed? How do we want to imagine that new foundation to be? Because our feet also represents our foundation, our stability, our grounding. However, even through the feet, as far as a reflexologist, it allows us access to so many other realms, so many other systems, so many other dimensions of our being. So I think it's really cool, now that I think about it, that Pisces rules the feet versus the kidneys, in my opinion, because through the feet, we can access all these other aspects of who we are. So it's almost like with the energy of Pisces, we have access, right, to the different portals, the different systems, the different aspects, the different facets of who we are as a being, whether it's more etheric and spiritual, whether it's more mental, whether it's more emotional, whether it's intuitive, whether it's sensual, whether it's physical, whether it's, whatever. We can access all these different aspects of who we are and bring them together in a sense of wholeness that allows us to be more grounded and have both feet on the ground, be 10 toes, stand 10 toes down in who we are, and also what it is that we're creating as a foundation to be solid in that, okay? Not just solid physically, but also emotionally and spiritually in who we are, okay? What we came here to do, so we can take conscious, intuitively inspired action steps in the direction of our dreams and allow those dreams to become manifest in reality through ourselves as a channel, as a portal, as sacred embodiment, right? And as a I guess I would say like as an integrated being, being able to maneuver and move through this dynamic energy. So I personally love Pisces season from that perspective. It's not an energy that I just be like, oh, I love Pisces season. But when I'm in it, it's like, I don't hate it. It's cool. It's just so fluid for me that it's just like, you know, what will be will be. It's cool. It Pisces season, I always think of that song California Dreaming by the Mamas and the Papas. You know, like California dreaming on such a winter's day. So it's winter technically. So, but yeah, that's what comes to me, and I think it's beautiful that tonight's goddess guidance was also about cycles and rhythms. Honor the cycles of your body, your energy levels, and your emotions. So here we are in this cycle, in this rhythm of spirit above and below, and you know, you just have to get in where you fit in and let the rest flow. For the collective message, what we got? Collective message. This to me feels like there are going to be some dynamic shifts, but I feel like these dynamic shifts might be like, whoa, okay. It's like a upheaval, but then you land and you're like, oh, well, this is surprising. I wasn't expecting it almost reminds me when you're standing in the ocean or the pool and like a tide comes in or something, you kind of like lift up off your feet for a minute and then you land back down and you're like, oh, okay, it's a little softer here. You know, this place doesn't have the same texture as where I was. And so this feels like if you have to emotionally let go of things, give yourself permission to not only lay those things to rest and to grieve those things and acknowledge them with love, with tenderness, with awareness, but also giving yourself permission to move on, you know, to lay that to rest with reverence, and then also give yourself to be inspired in this new space. Okay, so there might be new connections, revisiting some things in a different way, seeing things from a higher perspective and how you want to maybe pursue that. Maybe also getting some new aha moments of like how things can look, how things should maybe can be and should shift, and just getting some new creative ideas flowing in that may seem a little, I want to say like outside the box or a little unorthodox, but something that resonates very true to who you are. You know, as far as your personal evolution, I think it's some of this is that Pluto in Aquarius vibe, but really coming more into wholeness of who you are and seeing yourself from a different perspective that makes you feel more integrated, more grounding in your being. And so if you notice some shifts, literally just let go, let God, let Goddess, and go with the flow. And know that things are, as the tide ebbs and flows, that good things are coming in replacement of the things that you have released. So yeah, it's very hanged man energy there.
110%. Literally. That's literally hanged man energies. That's perfect. And I really also like sacred embodiment. I feel like that is a perfect thing that you also said about this energy. So beautiful. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you guys on the podcast for listening through the last half of the astrological year. We're going to start the new one off with Aries. That's exciting. And on YouTube, thanks for watching. Hopefully you share it with folks so they can get on board for this new Astro season that we're going into. And with that being said, remember, if you join the Patreon, you can join us where we're about to go, which is distance Reiki with Kisha, which is amazing. It always is. I always feel like I am in another universe, another realm, another world. It is amazing. We also do private personal readings there too each season. So definitely look into joining the Patreon. On Friday, we will be doing the full moon in Virgo. And then we will be having the new moon following that in Pisces. So see you guys around.